really pleased to be a part of your journey as you guys look to do a triathlon the whole length of the country, fundraising for the local North Island Air Ambulance. So look, why don't you just tell us a little bit about the project, what the inspiration was behind it, and what it means to you.
Yeah, well, so the project itself, we're going to triathlon the length of New Zealand from Bluff to Cape Reinga. The only way we're going to move up the country each day is by either swimming, biking or running. We aim to do a triathlon each day. The distance will obviously vary based on weather, based on pretty much only on weather, I guess. So,
maybe how you're feeling?
Yeah, maybe how I'm feeling, yeah. But I guess to complete that sort of distance, it's just over 2,200 kilometres. We'll have to complete 150 to 160 kilometres worth of triathlon a day. So.
And it's never been done before?
I don't believe so.
Why?
Yeah, I don't believe anyone has triathloned it, but yeah. Not in winter. I know definitely no one has done it in winter before. So.
For good reason, perhaps.
Yeah.
It'll be incredible. So a 2,200 kilometre triathlon, full length in New Zealand, and you're aiming to raise $100,000.
Yes, so for the Phillip Search and Rescue Trust helicopters, who have a helicopter in Hamilton, in Taupo, in Tauranga, and in...
Northland.
No, where's the other one? Palmerston North.
Okay.
Yes, so they also have a nationwide fixed wing plane. So they're on a no fault basis. So if you're in trouble, they'll come rescue at no cost to the user. So.
And why don't you tell us a little bit of why that charity means so much to you?
So back in 2012, I was in a tree felling accident and fractured my spine out on a cliffside in Pairiri there. So they couldn't get the ambulance up to me, so they had to airlift me out. So.
Fantastic. And they were there for you when you needed them.
Yeah. Obviously they couldn't get the ambulance, so I didn't realise how serious the accident was until I started getting pins and needles in my legs on the way over to the hospital, and that's when they realised how serious the accident was.
So you were airlifted out by helicopter?
Yes, yeah.
Wow.
Well, even afterwards, you couldn't run for almost a year.
Yeah. Well, I was wheelchaired out of the hospital. I got 3 or 4 days after the accident, and I could swim. I was a triathlete at the time. I could swim without tumble turning. I could ride mainly indoors because of the jarring on the road. Just hurt up my spine, and I couldn't run for it was probably 6 months afterwards. I had qualified for World Champs that year, so my goal was to race at that World Champs, which was 6.5, 7 months later. And so I built into that World Champs without running. And fortunately went on to win my age group. So
it's an incredible story.
So, yeah.
In Auckland.
In Auckland, yeah.
Wow. So when you had the accident, at what point in your career were you in? How long have you been a triathlete for?
Probably about 18 months, so not very long. I was still competing as an amateur. So.
Bit of a setback, but you made it past it.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's a setback or so early on in my career, but
Can't help.
Yeah, it was definitely a setback in terms of my health, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you guys have been preparing, both as an athlete and as a coach, for such a difficult challenge? And just for the people watching, you're looking at doing 2,200k in 14 days is one of your aims, which is incredible. Never been done before. In the winter, we've had rain and storms. It's going to be tough. I mean, how do you prepare for that?
That's my...
That's his job.
Yeah. So, Kieran rang me up and he's like, this is where... He talked about it, mentioned it, and then he's like, we're doing it. I was like, all right, you want to do it? Okay, you free this weekend? And I made him go out and do an Ironman on Saturday, an Ironman on Sunday, and then the goal was to do a half Ironman on Monday, but he fell over.
Okay.
And then proceeded to ring me up and go, I fell over, but I was fine. I definitely could have done the rest of it. He'd done the Ironman on Saturday, and which like is an incredible feat.
Yeah.
Like people train their whole lives to do one Ironman, and this is where like Kieran's slightly, I don't want to say different, maybe special, definitely not gifted, tough, resilient. As a human, obviously he came back from a broken spine to win a world championship.
Which is incredible.
Yeah, through the help of the Phillips Search and Rescue, which is why we're doing this.
Yeah.
But so I knew previously, like we had done some big training sessions. Like he did the backyard Ironman, an off-road Ironman in his backyard on a mountain bike, like in 13 hours, which is again
seriously
around the average time that an amateur does it on the road. Having trained their whole life, not deciding they're going to do it in their backyard.
In a pool that you made yourself.
Yeah, and on trails I built myself as well. So
Yeah, you've done it the hard way.
yeah.
Yeah. So when like this is it's pretty massive, but I knew he could handle a fair workload.
Yeah.
So I was happy to push him without derailing his whole career. And so we put that in place, and then he responded really well. We did some time trials afterwards to measure fatigue, and from there we agreed it was capable of doing the whole length of New Zealand, a triathlon each day, close to an Ironman for 14 days, and just really went after working each discipline, or mainly the bike and the run, and so like we were training up to 100 miles, 160 Ks running while maintaining around, close to 1,000 kilometers of riding. Working 9 to 5 pretty much, but just on his feet or on the bike.
Incredible.
But we still incorporated quite a bit of swimming, but some high intensity training as well, because time on the feet was important, but also efficiency and economy. I didn't want him to get so bound up that he's just like, if you've ever heard the term Ironman shuffle, it's we needed to. We still have a long career, he still has a long career ahead of us.
So from a physiological standpoint, what sort of analytics have you guys been using to look through his Kieran's training and looking after his training load and other factors like that, and obviously as well as pushing him as hard as he can, making sure he's not having it too easy?
Yeah, that's been super important. It's been really interesting looking at the analytics from a different point of view. Normally we're trying to, as you say, get him to go as fast as possible, right, and really push him in various intensities, but now it's been how slow can we go while still going fast enough that we're not going to damage Kieran too much, right? So we have analytical software that I use to analyze Kieran's GPS files, his heart rate files, his power data, as well as his running dynamics. So we can look at things like cadence. That's how many steps you take per minute. If that starts to deteriorate, his form starts to break down, it means his muscles are breaking down. And I can see that without having, I'm going to ask someone, any type A athlete, and they're going to say, it was fine, I was doing fine. But I can see in the data, he said, I set him up with an Ironman. He ran the marathon in 3.5 hours and said he was cruising, right? And so that's most people, life goals are generally under 4 hours, and he's done it in 3.5. I was like, that's too fast. You can't do that for 14 days in a row.
Overachieved.
Yeah.
Day one.
And he said and so that's where we started to go, okay, why don't we try the Dr. Will O'Connor run walk method and try and reduce that average pace. And that's same on the bike. We've got heart rate, we've got power, so we know his thresholds, but trying to understand over 14 days at what point it's too hard.
And obviously you're going into this not having done one before. So it's a
learning curve.
It's a training load that you couldn't really simulate, right? Because it would be so destructive.
That's exactly right. There's a lot of guesswork involved, but more so we can front run, that fatigue. We can understand that like, you can't really go slower than this. Otherwise, we're going to take all year to do this thing. But you can't really go faster than this either. Otherwise, through training, back-to-back days, we've seen you started to slow. And if you're starting to slow after 3 days,
it's going to get
we're going to get into trouble. Yeah. So we've been able to look at a lot of stuff like that.
And so what will your routine be on the day? So while Kieran's out there battling through snow and wind, do you get any analytics during the course, or will you be watching out for anything outside of just a normal coach-athlete visual relationship, making sure he looks okay?
Yeah.
Are you going through files during the day or after the day, or?
So we'll flick through we have a Garmin tracking device on him at all times. That's mainly just measuring where he is, as opposed to like the hardcore analytics. At the end of each event, not so much swimming. Swimming, I'll be there. I'll be available to like just visually slow him down.
Yeah, absolutely.
and safety. Because it's so cold. Frigid waters of the South Island. And otherwise, we will kind of, after, I'm guessing, around 5 days, because we've done big training blocks before, like Kieran said, that he's done 40 hours in a week, and that was with high intensity, performance focused training, rather than just slogging it out. That's when I see the fatigue starting to set in. So really, like, that first 5 days is going to be crucial to not get over excited, which he is, especially when you've gone from training, we're doing around 30, 35 hours a week, to the couple of weeks leading into it, he's tapering off, getting fresh. He's doing about 15, so he's itching to go, and that's where it's going to be important to ensure, like...
just pacing.
Just pacing. Just pacing,
But I'll have someone either riding or running with me along some of the way as well. So
so I'll do a lot of the running.
Having them to slow me down as well.
Just to pace.
Yeah, not to try and race them. Get in my race mode and try and put out 300 watts for 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, there's no Strava for the length of New Zealand, so you can't try and beat something.
But if you wanted to set one.
There you go. I'm going to change my booking across on the ferry now. So.
Make it a day early.
It's incredible then. Obviously, this is a far longer distance, both daily and accrued, than you would normally do. But what sort of changes have you made to your training to try and adapt to such an incredibly long endurance? From training intensity, or is it hard to adapt, or has your body just dealt with it quite well?
Yeah, well, I guess the longest ever I've trained in a one-off week, and that was without working. I went away on a training camp, so I didn't have my wife and daughter there. And I was in Florida in winter, so like perfect 20-degree temperature.
Warmer than here.
And I had a masseuse with me as well. So I got up to just over 40 hours for that week. So this event is going to be close. If we're going to do approximately 10-hour days, it's going to be 70 hours in the week. So it's going to be almost double what I've ever done in my longest one-off week.
For 2 weeks in a row.
For 2 weeks in a row.
And to put that into perspective, like your normal person who's training for triathlon may do around 10 hours in an entire week. So he's going to do 7 times the amount of training for 2 weeks.
It's incredible.
Yeah, and even the like average professional triathlete, the week would be around 25, 30 hours. So it's still
70, crazy.
Yeah.
So how do you? So speaking from my own background a little bit, everything that I used to do as a road cyclist was geared around just sheer power output or speed over a stage or a course. So you've obviously, I'm guessing it's 70 hours a week, you've got to change your mindset from one about, high intensity and maximum speed to pace yourself with that whole end in mind. But 70 hours is huge. And then to repeat it again in the second week, have you changed your mindset at all during that?
Yeah, well, I think probably the biggest mindset I had to change was running. I'm from a running background, so I like to run at like a steady, like while I'm training, it's a steady pace. So that's probably 4 minutes to 4:30 per kilometre.
Yeah.
And so I had to really slow that down a lot without slowing it down too much that you're running inefficiently or getting sore from running poorly. So I've had to slow it down quite a bit, closer to 5-minute Ks, but then also add walking in. So I'll be using the Will O'Connor run walk method. So I'll be running for 2.5 Ks, walking 500, running 2.5 Ks, walk to slow the overall time down, but also slow down the wear and tear on my body, because running's probably going to be the most demanding in terms of the 3 disciplines. I only have to swim in close to 0 degree water, and which is easy, and riding will be what it'll be, but running's the most the most demanding. So
So in a minute I'd love to ask if you just talk us through the event, but before we get there, what's your support crew going to be like for the event?
Amazing.
Obviously.
So we currently have 7 or 8 people with us the entire time in 2 different camper vans, obviously sign written with all our sponsors on the side. So we'll have one that will be feeding meals, be going up the road, doing laundry, finding out places to park, doing photography, and then the other one will be with me at all times. It'll have a mechanic, wheel bags, everything along that sort of line, so that if something goes wrong, then I have a support person with me at all times.
Yeah. Wow, and physiologically, you've got your nutrition, you've got your coach. What about other sort of support activities, massage or physios, or are there any other elements to it, or you guys got all the bases covered?
Not sure. We'll take a massage table. We've got it booked in.
Yeah.
Like we've identified in every sort of town, I guess we pass through.
Yeah.
Who the massage therapist is, or who the physio is.
Wow.
To try and, but the hard part about planning around that is if it's a tailwind and it's a good day,
you're going to go past.
We're going to blow.
We could go 200 Ks. You know, or Kieran could, which then you don't want to expect someone to drive 50 Ks or us to have to go back. You know, we want to, for Kieran, it's about getting out, doing it, stopping and not doing anything. You know, so that's really recovery. That's exactly right.
Yeah, I guess that's what my crew's about, is to take everything off my plate except for doing the swim, bike and the run, and I guess chewing my food for me as well. So that's all my energy needs to go into that to be able to do it. So
take that huge workload.
Yeah, so we've got I've got a couple of massage partners on with Rad Roller and MyoVolt. So we've got some recovery tools with us, as well as the hands of my support crew if I need to get on the bed and have a rub down. So
obviously maintaining your health over such 140 hours plus of training exercising is going to be huge, right? So with that in mind, why don't you talk us through where you're starting from and how you see that course progressing? And
so we start on August the 2nd at Bluff. Sunrise is at about 8:07 a.m, so that's when we'll be in the water. Obviously, if we don't have a safe place to swim in Bluff, we'll have to bring the swim indoors for that day. If we've got 10-foot swells rolling in, then we obviously can't get in the ocean. So we have backup pool locations at each one. So we won't be moving our way up the country, but we will be performing the swim aspect of the triathlon for the day. We then ride up through past Queenstown, over Lindis Pass, which is probably going to be one of our most extreme passes. It's almost 1,000 metres, but in the middle of winter, that could mean 2 or 3 foot of snow over the top of that. We then drop into Omarama. We'll get on some off-road sections on the Alps to Ocean through to Tekapo. All the inland route to avoid the traffic of Christchurch, inland route into Kaikoura, before going up State Highway 1 to Picton. From there we jump on the Rimataka trail that then crosses over Rimataka Ranges into Waikanai. It'll be State Highway 1 up to Bulls Martin area. Then we will head cross country across to Tamaranui through National Park. That's going to be another one of our cold adventures around Ruapehu there. Then we go off-road.
Well, obviously he's going to be in the bus.
Yeah, he's keeping my bed warm for me when I want to get in at night. So.
Just moral support.
Yeah, so then we jump onto the Timber Trail, the Waikato River Trail, the Hauraki Trail up to Auckland. Then we follow the Kauri coast all the way up to 90 Mile Beach, along 90 Mile Beach and to the top. So.
Incredible.
That's it in a nutshell.
Obviously you've memorised it well. A lot of planning's gone into this.
Yeah, it's a huge project. I'm sure, I feel rather stressed about the planning of it, because the more I plan, the more detail I put into my planning, the obviously less work that my support crew have to do. So the better I plan it, the easier it is for them to help me. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And for everyone watching this, how can they help and support?
So you can go to lengthofnz.com and you can click the Donate Now button. That'll take you through to my Give a Little page, and the Give a Little page has a tally of how much we've raised so far, and also it puts the funds straight into the Phillips Search and Rescue Trust Helicopters bank account, rather than going through a third party like myself. So.
Brilliant. Well, look, we'll do everything that we can at Radix to get you as much coverage and awareness as we can, and we really look forward to being a part of your effort and looking after you and your support crew during this. And with everyone, speak on behalf of everyone here, we're really behind you guys and wish you all the best, and we're just really proud to be a part of such an incredible attempt and such a good course. So congratulations on everything you've done so far, and we'll be behind you all the way.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.